Hello. Today we're going to be doing our first 40k video, the deathguard for 40k. They were my first Warhammer army, and I thought it would be good to do them for a video. So first up, we'll start looking at some of their strong units, and then I'll go over some tactics I have for them, and then go show some strength and weaknesses of the army. This is all my opinion. On the whole army. So first up, their standard sort of infantry run of the mill sort of guys are the Plague Marines. They're probably they changed a lot since eighth edition, with Disgustingly Resilient being changed as well, where you reduce the damage characteristic they take by one, which is I'm not sure. I think it's interesting the way they've changed it instead of um, all damage being negated on a 5-up. I feel like in some cases it would be good, in some cases it wouldn't be good. Also, the subtracting one to the damage is to a minimum of one. The Plague Marines also moved up from 1 wound to 2 wounds, and their points got changed. I think they're a pretty good unit with different options when they're being built to have either a very melee based unit with lots of melee weapons and icons and things, so opponents get scared when they're near them. Quickly have a look at the datasheet so I can go more in depth in some of their weapons and rules. The icon of despair. So if you had a more base close up one, and also the Sigil of Decay, they would be good for. I think either one. I feel like Sigil of Decay would be better for longer range, more bolt weaponry, and Icon of Despair for closer range. Now, there's a lot of different weapon options in this, which I think is awesome. So, some standout weapons which I found were the Great Plague Cleaver, having ×2 strength, -3 AP, and d6 damage. You do have to subtract 1 from the hit roll, but I feel like that's a reasonable sacrifice to make for the damage potential for it. You can also take 1 plasma gun. I think, it's 1 plasma gun in the squad. You can take strong melee weapons and some pretty strong ranged weapons as well. Overall, these guys, they're pretty good, and they're great to have in any army because they're just very viable for and flexible for things they can do. Next up, I was going to look at some Poxwalkers. Poxwalkers, they're pretty weak, very good in hordes because they're very cheap as well, points-wise. So if you want some things to just like tie up enemy units or be like I guess like a shield for a character because of the Lookout Sir rule, they're great, and also they can automatically pass leadership, which is very useful. So they're alright, but if you are going to have them, I'd recommend at least having 20 or so, because if you have less than that, I kind of feel there's not enough of them to be good at a certain role, because if protecting an objective, they get killed easily. Actually, in one game, I had an incredibly good unit of Poxwalkers. About 10 of them killed a whole squad of Space Marine intercessors, which was very impressive. But that's quite rare, because as you can see, the improvised weapon is not the best. The next unit, vehicle thing I was going to talk about was the Fetid Bloat Drone. I think these are awesome models. I think they look really good, and they have, in the set, they have 3 weapon options you can have for them. You can either have 2 Plague Spewers, excuse me, I forgot what it was called. They can also have a Flesh Mower, and that's it, the Heavy Blight Launcher. There's sort of, 3 categories for it, I'd say. You want Flesh Mower, very strong in melee. Plague Spitter, good sort of in between. 12-inch sort of flamethrower weapons, which automatically hit. Well, not flamethrower, but they automatically hit. And Heavy Blight Launcher, good for range. The one thing... Oh, wait, they got changed. Never mind. good. It's got demonic because it's a demon engine, so it has a 5+ invulnerable save, and it has a good explosion as well because on a 4+ it explodes, and units other than Nurgle units don't take damage. I mean, do take damage. My apologies. I have two feathered bloat drones in my collection. I've got one with a flesh mower and one with plague spitters because they go quite well together. But it's honestly up to you. And if you're feeling like you need some more range support, the heavy blight launcher would be an awesome choice. Yeah, I love the feathered bloat drones. Plague burst crawlers, awesome as well because they add some very much needed heavy like artillery ranged support to your Death Guard army because the Death Guard kind of lack in that long range sort of thing. And I think this has a range of 72 inches on its mortar, which is great. And it is strong. It's good just sitting at the back. Maybe have a character with it to improve its accuracy. Other than that, there's not really that much to say about it. But yeah, I just recommend putting the longest range weapons you can on it and just letting it sit at the back and provide some covering fire. And it can also shoot at targets it cannot see with the mortar, which is very useful. Some of the characters, like Foul Blightspawn and I'm probably going to butcher this name, so Biologist Putrefier, that one there. Sorry if I missaid that, which I probably did. Both really good characters up close. Biologist Putrefier has some very strong grenades. And also, if squads of Plague Marines can also pick them off like his back and use them as well, which is great. And the grenades are really good for anti-vehicle, I think. Overall, good sort of support character. Not much else though. I feel like he's not very good at much else. He's good at definitely helping Plague Marines do stuff. And Foul Blightspawn is awesome again at this one thing, which is killing either hordes or kind of less armored infantry because of with his specialized plague spitter. It's very good, and he's also got a few good rules as well, which help him with that. I'll actually have a look at the rules right now. Excuse me. Alright, sorry about that. So yeah, the Plague Sprayer. It's good. It could be used against vehicles, but I don't know. I feel like its range puts it at quite a bit of a risk against vehicles. And also the Unholy Death's Head Grenade is good for hordes because it's got 2d6. The Putrefying Stink is very good. If you put him in a unit of Poxwalkers or melee-based Plague Marines, it's awesome because when opponents charge, they can attack first. So he's really good for buffing sort of other units as well. That's most of the units I wanted to go over. Just a brief thing on the Mephitic Blighthauler. I love the model as well. Good unit. It's got a good sort of fog ability. Works really well if you have a group of 3 of them. One problem with it doesn't have any other weapon choices apart from the missile launcher and the multi-melter. But other than that, it's good. And you do see it a bit, but not really in very competitive things, just for the fact that the feathered bloat drone is stronger. Good. Yeah. The Death Shroud Bodyguard, your kind of bodyguard unit, as it says in the name, good at killing melee. Got a pretty crappy pistol, but it's extra damage, which is pretty good. Other than that, they're not very good at anything else apart from protecting characters, so that's my main issue with them. But if you did, say, have Typhus, he would be perfect for them to protect, because he's good, but he can be very much focus-fired, so there would be great. The Space Marine Heroes set, it's cool if you want some different-looking characters in Space Marines, but seeming as, I think it's $30 per one, I wouldn't say it's worth it. Unless you just want to get it because it looks cool and it's collecting. But if you wanted to actually get it to have models to play with, I would just recommend buying the character. The Mortarion himself, of course. We can't talk about Deathguard without talking about Mortarion. He is an awesome model. Very awesome model. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, great character behind him, great like story, at least I think. Also, having 18 wounds and being able to fly is great. The lantern is awesome because it doesn't, you can like shoot through units because you just do a beam, which is really good. The silence is great as well. Has two different attack options. So one for killing like more weaker targets or I guess less stronger ones. And the phosphet can't say it. Sorry about that. That the bombs, they're good as well. They're a good type of grenade. He's a Primarch, so he has a bunch of buffs he can have. Also got a 4+ invulnerable save, which is decent. And when he explodes when he dies, which I find quite funny and cool. He can also attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers and deny 3 psychic powers, which is good because the Death Guard don't have very many psychers. I think they've got Typhus and the another character as well, and this is quite strong. So if you are looking for a psyker and like a leader or a really strong character, he's perfect. Also, he's got revoltingly resilient. So it's pretty much disgustingly resilient just in 8th edition. So that's pretty good, but including the new one as well. So he's very tough, hard to kill. When he does kill, he explodes, and he can deal a lot of damage. Now, that was the main units I wanted to go over for the army. Now I'm just going to talk about some strengths and weaknesses of them. Death Guard, incredibly tough. Like, they're just great at killing things, and also in close range firefights, I think they're probably the best army in 40k. Just in that sort of close range environment, because their auras can affect enemies, and they've also got the melee if they need it, and some good firepower. Very good at kind of just slowly advancing up the table, pressuring your enemy, making them kind of not take rational decisions because they're being pushed up and up into their like back into their deployment zone. There are things they which lack at is some good long range. Not good because they've got some good long range things. More like variety in long range because like other than the fated bloat drone with heavy blight launcher and the plague burst, you don't really have much else. Apart from some models, like one model in a Blight Lord Terminator unit, which has a long range weapon. So long range, and also they're very slow. I think, yeah. So it's kind of helps with that more narrative of them being like resilient and just marching up the field. So yeah, Death Guard overall, I like their army. They're my first army, so I feel quite close to them. And Papa Nurgle, of course. Um, Good in competitive, and they have changed a lot since 8th edition. So if you are looking for an army, but like you don't really like Space Marines, but you like the sort of vibe of them, Death Guard are pretty cool because they kind of got still the Space Marine sort of thing, but they've got all the rot and plague, which I think is very cool and unique to them. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to see a different 40k army or Age of Sigma or anything in between, like Necromunda, stuff like that, please let me know in the comments. I'd be very happy to do it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.